Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, Khalid.
A very, a very good morning to everyone. I, Akanksha Unyal, welcome you all for the second day of the workshop on effective thesis writing, which is being conducted under the Dr. Padam Singh Research and Development Scheme in collaboration with Institute of Applied Statistics, Indian Council of Medical Research, National Institute of Medical Statistics. Now, I would like to introduce our today's guest speaker for our third session on fundamentals of thesis writing. Today's session will be taken by Dr. Manushi. Dr. Manushi Srivasta's career has taken her through more than 15 years of study, research, and teaching. She is currently working as an associate professor at Department of Community Medicine, Institute of Medical Sciences, Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. She holds PhD in medical sociology and fellowship of FICN. She is a very calm personality with expertise in community medical sociology. She is also excellent researcher with numerous publications in international journals. We welcome you, ma'am.
Hello,
Good
good morning. Hello, good morning,
Yes,
participants. Am I audible now, Akansha?
yes, ma'am.
And I am visible too.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, once again, good morning to all delegates. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience caused by me due to poor network yesterday. Now I'm going to start my lecture. Today's lecture. Um, these topics are quite independent, so it's not so tough to understand as well as relate. So need not to be worry about it. So I'm just going to share my slides first so that you can keep good connection with the concepts. Slides are visible now. Please raise hands. Slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Slides are visible.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
It's visible now, ma'am. Visible.
Okay, fine. So am I audible? Just
Yes,
raise
ma'am.
hands. Okay, fine, Akansha. So the title of today's lecture, this is basically the first lecture of yesterday, that is all about the steps of thesis writing. Sometimes delegates are very confused that what should come while writing the thesis or what should not be, or what is the essential components and what can be omitted. So first of all, I want to discuss that there are basically 9 steps that should come while writing your thesis. And the second part of my lecture is all about to identify the research topic. This is the first step to begin with. So what are the steps of thesis writing and how to identify the research topic? These are the 2 parts of my lecture, fine? So I am going to start my lecture now. So there are basically 9 steps. The first of all, the first step, that is all about introduction. But before starting, do you have the understanding about the difference between thesis, protocol, synopsis, dissertation? Because almost all the steps are more or less common, but in thesis writing, all the 9 steps should come. It's not necessary to consider all the 9 steps for protocol writing or for synopsis writing or for dissertation writing. So let me clarify first that thesis writing is a vast study of complete 3 years, including all the 9 steps that I will discuss later. Fine. But protocol and synopsis, protocol writing and synopsis writing, these 2 terms have minor difference between these 2 terms. Protocol writing is basically protocol writing is all about research. Protocol writing is all about getting research funds. Synopsis is basically related to research article, and protocol is basically related to research projects. So if basic difference is about budgets, if you have to add the budgetary section, if you have to calculate the unit cost that is going to be involved while conducting your research, this specific section must writing your protocol writing. But while writing your synopsis writing, it's not that much necessary to include the budgetary section or budgetary calculation or financial involvement that is going to be done while conducting your study. Fine. So the basic difference between protocol writing and synopsis writing is synopsis is the miniature structure or plan of study for research thesis, research work. But for research projects, protocol writing is the plan of study. Fine. Dissertation is basically, for example, MPhil. At some universities or some educational institutions, we used to tell that MPhil is a dissertation work. In some diploma or degree courses also, they used to allot dissertation of 3 months, of 6 months. Getting? So dissertation itself, it is a complete study. Right? Protocol and synopsis is basically study plan, how to, and thesis writing is the complete study of long duration. Dissertation writing is also a complete study, but of short duration, basically, or associated with some of the course or diploma or degree courses. Fine. So this is the basic fundamental difference between these 4 terminologies. Fine. Now I'm moving ahead. What is exactly research? This is the most common word. We all go through it. We all know, we have the concepts, we know the definitions, but then also sometimes it is very important to understand that what research is not, to make it more clear that what is exactly research. Getting my point? So let's have a view what research is not. Mere collection of data, rearranging fact, and establishing a linear relationship. With increasing age, condition of morbidity may also increase directly proportional. If we increase the odor and fragrance and color of any soap, the demand for some soap will increase. Such type of linear equations, linear relations are mostly used for marketing purpose, for selling or persuading the ideas. So it is not exactly research. Simply writing an article without adding something in the existing body of knowledge and mere writing a neat and grammatically correct paper again is not research. Only conducting experiment, conducting surveys, distributing questionnaires and collecting informations again is not research. So what is exactly research? What is exactly research? Research is all about, first of all, establishing a research question. Research question should be framed in the initial stage. Then what is the exact research problem and research hypothesis? Once you frame the research question, research problem and research hypothesis, then you have to find out, with the help of reviewing the literature, already existing literature, the theoretical framework, if it is there. If it is any theoretical framework related to your identified research area or research topic or research question, then you should mention or keep it with you that specific theoretical framework. Fine. Then research plan, how you will move to get the answer of your research question. So research plan or research design for conducting a study or experiment is the most component of a research. Fine. Without planning, without proper research design, if you are collecting information, rearranging fact, establishing linear equation, writing a grammatically a neat paper, and conducting experiment is of no use because you didn't plan it. So you are not going to get a good results. Right? Then comes data collection, its entry, its analysis, and finally its interpretation. Right? And the last and very important vital component to consider a work as a research is your research result will able to contribute to a body of existing knowledge. If you are in position to add something new in the existing body of knowledge of that field, then we term it as a research. If it is mere overlap, if it is mere repetition, then it's not exactly research. Right? So it is very important to make it very clear that what is exactly research. While writing your thesis, what is research should be very clear. The definition of research we have gone through, but just by going through that definition, it will not be very clear that what should come while writing our thesis. So if your thesis is actually a original research work, then these components are the must component of your research. Right? Now I'm moving ahead. Thesis should explain the study in terms of answers to the following question. If your thesis is in the right direction, then your thesis must be able to answer these 5 questions. I really appreciate this slide because this slide is very fundamentally clear. Why means your study question. Why you want to conduct your study for this specific study question. How is the study designed? It means your plan of study. How you are going to move towards getting the answer of your identified or established study question. Fine. Who? That is, who is your study population? Who is your study subject? On whom you are going to conduct your study. Then what? It means what specific variable you are going to measure. In one specific area, there may be number of variables. For example, child health. There can be number of variables related to child health. What services, what programs are going on, what is the family environment, parental education, their socio-demographic profile, children's education, children institutional delivery, as well as their institutional educational training. There are a number of variables. What specific variable you want to study, it should be clearly mentioned. That is what. Identify the variable to be measured and outcome to be analyzed. And the last and most important component is so what? Just to get the answer of above 4 question of why, how, who, what, if you are not with some concrete knowledge that is going to act as add-on of the existing body of knowledge, or if it is not able to comment on expected significance of results and contribution to the knowledge, then it's of no use. So what you did all these exercises, these exercises will be futile exercises if you are not able to trigger on the expected significance. Am I clear? Am I clear? Delegates, please raise your hands. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Now I'm moving ahead. What are the fundamental steps of thesis writing? There are 4 plus 5. Why I'm telling 4 plus 5? 4 are the most important component, but rest 5 are also equally important. So there are basically 9 components. Introduction, review literature, objective methodology. These are the components which should come while writing your synopsis also. In synopsis, up to methodology, you have to mention, right? But while writing your thesis, you have to cover all 9 points. You should. Introduction, review of literature, objective and methodology are the hearts of your thesis. Research findings, results, observation. Without this, it is incomplete. Discussion is basically contextualization. To relate your study results with the study results of earlier researchers in that specific field. Then conclusion of your study. Then recommendation and limitation. These are also 2 very important components. Sometimes up to 7 you usually get in thesis written by your seniors also. But recommendation and limitation, sometimes it is the missing component of your thesis. But I suggest that it is always good to add recommendation as well as limitation. Recommendation can be part of your thesis, it cannot be, but limitation should be there, right? Now I'm moving ahead. What is exactly introduction and what should come? I know that Nishkarsh sir has already discussed about introduction. As this is my first lecture, so it should come before the lecture of Nishkarsh Gupta sir. So I have just I know that he must have discussed all these components with you yesterday. Introduction must have these 5 components. Background, what is the purpose of your study exactly? What is the problem statement? What problem is in your mind? Why you started this study or why you thought about conducting a study on this specific topic? So problem statement, your theoretical framework, if it is there. If some earlier researcher has already established any theoretical framework. And the last is scope of study. So these are the 5 points that should come while writing your introduction, right? Background, purpose of the study, problem statement, theoretical framework, and scope of study. Now, review of literature. As I will take another lecture completely on review literature, so I am not going to go in detail, but literature review in any research endeavor is the base that gives information support to the research and its possible claims. From where we got this idea, from where we got this content, from where we got this theoretical framework. So this possible claim is very important to avoid the allegation of plagiarism first, and review literature itself is very important for various reasons that I will discuss in my next lecture also. It reviews existing work that are relevant to your study area. Literature review consolidates the entire research that has been done earlier in this specific area of study that you have identified, and it weighs what already exists and how is being presented matter in future, right? So these are some of the reason why review of literature is the important component, right? Now, objective. An objective is a clear statement of something that needs to be accomplished over a period of time. Your thesis period is on paper designated 3 years. It means in this specific 3 years of time, what you have planned to accomplish is your objective. A clear statement, a concrete statement, right? Objectives are the steps you are going to take to answer your research question or a specific list of tasks needed to accomplish the goal of the study. So basically, you used to establish a aim or goal of your study. Now, to achieve that aim or to achieve that goal, you used to set some of the action verbs, steps, tasks. These tasks or these steps usually called objectives. These objectives are basically to achieve the aim of your study or goal of your study. Right? Now, methodology. What should come in methodology? So, you all know is the component in which the quality of your research depends. If your methodology is foolproof, if your methodology is good, if you have planned it very well, if your research design is good, then your study is up to the mark, right? So a thesis methodological approach should follow these steps, and the first and foremost thing is research design. What research design are you planning to apply? What instrument or equipment or tool or scale you are going to use for collection of data? Then reliability and validity testing of your study too. Then sample size calculation and the sampling methods, statistical measures and the measures to analyze them, and variable definition. What is exactly adolescent? To whom you have considered adolescent in your study? Whether your study's definition of the variable and the standard definition of the variable is different. If yes, then you have to explain the variable definition while writing your methodology. Is it okay? Is it okay? Can I move ahead? Am I clear? Fine. I'm moving. Result finding and observations. At the methodological approach level, a student will be able to report the demographic descriptions. What demographic description here? Data analysis and its interpretation. What the research was able to find. It depends on our research planning that what our research is able to find and get the answer. It means our research question, right? And the last is, at this part of the research, detail of the finding must be clearly presented. Detail of our finding, our study finding. We are not going to contextualize. We are not going to relate it with the results of other researchers. We are only going to give the complete detailed findings of our study. Is it okay? Now I'm moving ahead. This is the finding section or result or observation section. Finding or result section is all about our study results, right? Now discussion. Discussion is the area, discussion is the segment in which we used to relate our study results with the study results of other researchers carried out in the same area of study. So at the level of research interpretation, a student has to show competency in interpreting and discussing data collected, competency in using statistically analyzed data to support various claims done in our study, and proposing recommendation for future research. So once we are coming out with some result, in the discussion section, we used to say that these studies has been carried out in different places or in different period of time, and they are also of the same opinion, or they are in reverse opinion, maybe because of this reason. These are some of the points that should come while writing your discussion, right? Now, how to identify? This is basically all about. I have not discussed here about recommendation or limitation because you have a separate lecture. You are going to get a separate lecture on how to write discussions or how to write recommendation or how to write your limitations. So I'm not going to explain it here. Now, the second part of my study is all about how to identify a research topic. Let me tell it very clearly that to finalize your research topic or your research title, should not be done as a first step. Should not be done. You have to only identify a broader area, a complete cake. I have shown a circle here. Circle means a complete cake. Right? Now you have to identify a broad area only. Once you have identified a broad area, typically start off as a broad or general idea in field. For example, child health, geriatric health, distance learning, migrant laborers, problem of migrant laborers. These are some of the broad areas. Now, field and broader thematic area as a whole cake you have to consider. Now, by doing religious and rigorous review literature with passage of time, gradually you will become more mature. Your understanding will become more, your ideas will become more clear, and you will be able to identify your topic or small slice of the complete cake. But this will done not on first day of your start of your study, but it will take a long time of 4 to 5 months or 6 months of continuous reviewing the existing literature. So just identify an idea or area or broader concept in which you want to conduct your study, your area of interest. Fine. Open heart surgeries, a broad area. Now, cost effectivity in open heart surgery. There can be different patient opinion, patient's recovery, hospital stay after open heart surgeries. There are a number of areas. So just identify a broad area, go through the existing literatures, and with passage of time, your ideas will be more clear that which is specific topic is still scope to explore, or there is a scope to study more in this area because it is unexplored area, and some of the gaps are there, and your study will be able to fill those gaps. So like this, you have to identify the specific topic with a passage of time while doing your review literature. Fine. Now, how to choose a topic? The first and foremost thing to choose a topic is what interests you. You have to do your thesis in your interest area. If you are not interested in that area, it will be very tough. It will become a burden for you to carry your thesis in that specific area which doesn't interest you. So always try to find out area of your interest. The second is what is the current state of research and discussion in the field. It means you have to review the existing literatures, right? How would undertaking this research contribute to knowledge in the field? Whether there is any gap, whether there is any scope, or it is already saturated. Number of researchers has been already done lot of studies and there is no knowledge gap. So there is no scope for a new researcher to conduct any study. Getting? What is the significance of the topic? Whether it is significant for the researchers or for the politicians or for the academicians or for the doctors or for the general public, you should think once that how this topic is significant and for whom. Then a very practical question, is it doable? Is it achievable? Is it feasible? Is it realistic? Now aim. You have to identify a general aim and you have to configure your specific objective. You have to frame your specific objective. So these are some of the concept, some of the ideas to choose a topic, right? So for doing all these steps, the most important thing is to religiously review your existing literature related to your study area. Got it? Got it? Am I clear? Can I move ahead? Can I move ahead, delegates? Please raise your hands if I am clear. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now, this is a KUM chart. This is very interesting chart, and usually I used to suggest my students also that this is the KUM chart By making this KUM chart, it will become very easy for you to identify the area of gaps in which you can conduct your study. So it is very easy for you to identify the gaps by just framing KUM chart. K stands for known, U stands for unknown, and M stands for me. Right? K is what is known about the topic. For example, as I have given an example of open heart surgery. Procedure of open heart surgery, lots of study has been done, so it is a known area. Follow-up procedure of open heart study, all of number of studies has been done, so it is again a known area. Success rate of open heart surgery has been done many times, so it is again a known area. So these three areas of study related to open heart surgery has already a saturated area, so it is a known area. Now unknown area. What is unknown about this topic? Unanswered questions or gaps or contradictions. So quality of life of patients undergone through such surgery, you feel while reviewing your literature that very few studies has been done, or in your area where you are living or in which state you belongs to, very few studies has been done. Getting? Or in India, very few studies has been done. So you start framing your idea that this is the area which needs further clarifications or further studies, and this is the area that you can take as your study. So M column, me column is what you want to learn from your research. Now in me column, you have to identify the specific variable related to quality of life of patient undergone such surgery. So to assess the quality of life of patients undergone such surgery, or to evaluate or to impart intervention to improve the quality of life of patient undergone such surgery, what specific variable you want to take related to the identified area, that is quality of life of patients undergone such success. So for in this, I have given an example in which I have mentioned that to assess, simply I want to assess the quality of life of patients undergone such surgery. Right? So this is a KUM chart, and I think it's very beautiful way to identify the knowledge gap, right? And it is best way to identify your topic also, right? Now I'm moving ahead. What is exactly good topic? See, good and bad are very relative words, but there are some indicators on the basis of which we can say that yes, it is a good topic. For example, that defines the aims of the research or investigation. If in the topic we are able to define the aim of the study, then it is good. Set boundaries and parameters. We are setting boundaries. We are going to assess. We are just going to study. We are going to conduct a longitudinal study. We are going to conduct an intervention study, whether we are going to provide services. So to set boundaries and parameters is the second idea if it is a good research topic. Then provides direction. In which direction we want to move. The topic should be very clear and very concise. Every word makes a difference. No word should be there with no significance. If you feel that these two words are of no significance, keeping it in the title or not keeping in the title, it doesn't make any difference. Then those two words should necessarily removed. Getting my point? So each word should be because we want it very concise and clear. So the title should, in the title, every word should make a difference. And the title should be very simple. Simple means it should be jargon free. Big words, complicated words will increase the importance of my title. No, this is a wrong concept. This is a wrong idea. This is a misconception. So your title, the topic should be concise, should be clear, and it should be jargon free and conceptually straightforward, so that just by going through the title, a reader can understand that what a researcher is going to do in this study. Simple, right? Now, research topic writing style, presenting continuity in idea. The first thing, all the words kept in your title should present a continuity in idea. All words should be interconnected with each other, right? Expression must be very smooth. It should not be like zigzag. Must maintain consistency in linking ideas and viewpoints, and precise and clarity in expression. And expression should be very precise, should be very clear. Right? Now spelling. Spelling is very important. Correct spelling should be there. So spelling should conform to standard American English as shown in any identified American College Dictionary. Usually this is a guideline. The most important message that you should keep in your mind that spelling should not be wrong in any way. In any way. Okay, fine. Now, capitalization. Complete title in capital is wrong way of presentation. Only first letter of important word should be in capital. Spell check once again. Peer review and rewrite. This is the beauty. I think this is the most beautiful way to recheck the understanding of your title, as well as correctness of your title, as well as its continuity of, to check the continuity of ideas also. So peer review is basically to frame a title and give it to your peer friends and let them understand, let them read, let them review it and get their opinion, get their idea. Be open, be ready to accept their suggestions and ideas. Getting? Once you get their opinion, their idea, just rethink on their opinion, their ideas, their suggestions. Sometimes some of the ideas or some of the concepts of your peer reviewers is very good, very good. You can incorporate. If you don't feel that these are some of the ideas that you can incorporate, you can leave it. Get it? So peer review and rewrite, these are two ideas to refine your title. Right? Reread means to reread once again after keeping it for few days. If you write an article, keep it for 1 week and reread after 1 week, you yourself can identify the lacunae of your paper. Did you did this? Have you ever did this? You will be able to understand that what pitfalls are there, what are the gaps. Getting my point? So peer review and rewrite are the best ways to make your title more correct, more concrete, more conceptually correct, right? And avoid abbreviations in topic. While writing your topic, abbreviation should not be there. Short form should not be there. You can write the full form as well as short form in the bracket in the title, so that in paper writing you can use only abbreviation, but in the title only abbreviation should not be there, right? Now I'm moving ahead. This is simply a brainstorming session, but because it's an online session, in offline session, I used to do this brainstorming session. This topic, in first topic, you will see what is wrong in this first title. Complete title is in capital. It should not be done. Isolation, I of isolation should be in capital, but rest of the letters should be in small. And E. coli is basically abbreviation. Abbreviation should not be there, right? Then the second topic, some trace elements. These type of words, regional evaluation of some trace elements. This is very confusing statement. What specific trace elements? So in title, it should be very clear. It means specific trace elements should be mentioned while writing your title. Some trace elements should not come in the title, right? Third topic, you will see it is too big and there is a very zigzag ideas. After reading this complete title of lines, a reader will get confused at what researcher is going to do. And the last fourth topic, you will see the definition or the spelling of the word experimental is wrong. Such type of mistakes of wrong spelling is very, this shows very reluctant approach of the researcher, and it should not be. Right? Now I'm moving ahead. Criteria for prioritizing topic for research. How we can prioritize the research topic? How we can prioritize? There are basically 7 steps on the basis of which we can prioritize the topic. First of all, relevance, significance of your study. How much it is relevant. Second, to avoid duplication. It means if lot of studies has been already done, then need not to conduct any study, single study, just to avoid duplication. So second topic, the way to prioritize your topic is to avoid duplication. This is the second. Third, the urgency of data needed. If you are going to evaluate any program, government program that has been conducted last year, and if you want to conduct a study of program evaluation, then you should keep in mind the timeliness. So topic, while deciding your topic, this can be the third criteria, urgency of data needed. Fourth is political acceptability of data. Political acceptability. How much data will politically get accepted? So political acceptance of study will be the next important point. Now, feasibility of study. How much it is feasible? Whether it is doable, whether it is achievable, whether it is feasible. Applicability of results. How much the results is applicable and to whom? And ethical acceptability. Ethical issues are nowadays very important issue. You can't omit the ethical ideas or ethical concerns, right? So I have already discussed relevance. The topic you choose should be priority, problem, or issue. Avoidance of duplication is very important. Urgency of data needed. How urgently are the results needed? Now, political acceptability, sometimes it involves the policymakers concerned at an early stage in order to limit the chances for confrontation later on. So, political acceptability is also important to avoid confrontations, right? Now, feasibility. This is the most important thing to understand by a researcher, because you have limited time, limited manpower. Manpower, you are the only manpower. Limited time, limited equipments, and limited money too. So manpower, time, equipment, and resources, as well as money, these are some of the areas on which you have to think and rethink about it before deciding your topic. So this fifth point of feasibility is the most important thing that you have to take care while deciding your topic, right? And applicability of possible results and recommendations, how it is applicable and for whom. And the last is ethical acceptability. How acceptable is the research to those who will study? Can informed consent be obtained from the research subjects? Will the condition of the subject be taken into account? And will the result be shared with those who are being studied? These are some of the ethical issues that you should consider. And just by considering these issues, you have to seek institute ethical clearance. Then only you will be able to conduct your research. Get it? And to publish your papers from your research work, right? This is my second last slide. I just want to clarify that how we move from general to specific while deciding our exact topic of study. So let's see the topic that we have decided. I have told you exact topic you have not to decide. You have to decide only a broader area. I have decided a very broad area, that is distance learning. You know about distance learning? IGNOU is one of the best example of distance learning, IGNOU courses. You have heard about it, I think. So distance learning, I have decided a broad area, that is a complete cake, complete cake. Now we have to find out the cake slice, right? So topic, we have decided a broader area, that is distance learning. Now, what is the research problem? Less number of students registration in distance classes. We all know that in regular classes, number of students registration is quite high. But in distance learning classes, number of student registration is quite less. The research problem is why lack of student in distance classes. Right? Now, purpose statement. What is the purpose of the study or purpose of the statement? Is to study why this is so. Why the registration of students is less in distance learning classes as compared to regular classes. So the purpose of the statement or purpose of the study or problem statement is to study why students do not attend distance education classes at community college. Now we have to frame the research question. So we have framed the research question. I have told you that while deciding your research question, you have to be very clear that which specific variable you want to study. There may be number of reasons for less registration of students in distance learning classes, but out of various variables, you want to identify or you want to study a single variable, because research study or research thesis or PhD thesis or MD thesis is basically micro in-depth study. It's not macro superficial study that you have to take a lot of variables and you have to superficially do your research. You have to identify one or two variables and you have to do in-depth study. This is basically research. Get it? So one variable we have identified for our study, that is website technology. Does the use of website technology in the classroom is the deterring factor deter student from enrolling in a distance education classes? Because we are very used to see our teacher in front of us writing on the board or whiteboard and explaining us, and we are free to ask questions and he is there or she is there to answer it face to face. We are very habitual of doing such type of offline classes. So maybe website technology, use of website technology in the classroom, online classroom or distance learning classroom, may be a deterring factor for the student registration. So this is the question, research question that we have identified. So we are moving general to specific. See, we started our journey from distance learning and we end up our journey as a specific statement that whether website technology is the deterring factor for registration of student in distance learning classes. This is the movement from general to specific. So I think I'm quite clear in my explanations, and I'm thankful to all my learned delegates as well as the team of organizers and Shubham, Mr. Shubham, for organizing such a beautiful workshop. And Akansha will tell that when she is planning to keep the question answer session, if you have any confusion or if you want to ask any question, please write it down in with you. And whenever the organizers will keep the discussion classes or a question answer session, I will be happy to answer. Okay. Thanks again. Thanks again to the participants as well as organizers.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Very
Thank
nice
you.
presentation, ma'am.
May I ask a question, ma'am?
Sir, the interactive session will be just planning after our third session, because ma'am will be again joining us for the next session.
जो इधर पर बैठेंगे तो इको होगी दूसरे कमरे में से मेरी आवाज आ रही है क्या?
एक मिनट को ना लाओ। Delegates can type their queries in the chat box for our first session. So moving on to our next session on will be taken by Dr. Nishkarsh Gupta, sir.
Okay. Okay. So good morning, friends. So I think it was it was mute that time. So I'll be discussing about results and tabulation of the data what we have collected. So I suppose that all of you must have collected the data as of now and must have done an initial kind of analysis with the help of statistician. So can any one of you just tell me what was your study and what was the methods you used for data analysis and eventually tabulation? So I can see a lot of names. Hello? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
No response is there, so
Yes, sir.
please identify yourself. Hello? So we'll have to ask individually then maybe. I'm just asking that have you all collected the data as of now and compiled for analysis by the statistician? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So who can you identify yourself? Hello? Okay, what method did you use to present your results?
Sir, mine was a cross-sectional study of growth lag in rural under fives. So I
Okay,
did my analysis by WHO Enthro and EpiInfo,
okay.
and I have represented my data in tables and graphs.
Mm-hmm. So what tables and what graphs generally you use?
Initially, I've used representation of socio-demographic data. How many males were
Mm-hmm.
there? How many females, according to the religion, according to their socio-economic status. And then
Mm-hmm.
later, I have made tables of association. How many of them were undernourished and how many of them were normal in males and
Okay.
females, and accordingly religion-wise.
So did you find any problem during that?
Yes, a bit of problem while making graphs out of the tables in the
Why?
Word document.
Why? How do you make graphs in the table?
I've made from the Word document.
No, that is true, but how did you make them? So you used an Excel to make it, or
Yes,
you?
yes. In the Word document, there's an option to insert charts, and then
Mm-hmm.
an Excel sheet opens up, and then you put your data into it.
So that is very simple. What is the problem in it then?
Sometimes I could not label the y-axis itself.
Okay, that is true. Because see, all of us are learning. Even today, I am also learning. So that initially you may find a kind of initial hiccups are there whenever you're doing something new. But yes, the newer Word and Excel formats are actually very intuitive, and they will also suggest you the best suited graph for a particular kind of result. So
Okay,
that is a
okay, sir.
okay. So now we'll start the topic just to initiate that discussion. So my learning objectives will be what are the results, then what significance does result hold in the thesis, how to write results and present data, what are the types of data presentation. Uh, there are many, but I'll be touching on the few which are commonly used. Then how do you write it in the text? What are the tables you can make, and what is the graphical representation? So coming to results, basically results are nothing but they are a logical presentation of findings and observations, including statistics, tables, and graphs, which are indicated on the range of variation. So you initially you have a research question, you planned a study, you have methods, you do the study. Now you have some raw data which is there. So you have different variables like age, weight, gender, height, BMI. Then the primary objective, suppose as usual, I'll give you example of intubation. So you do an intubation study, time to intubation, time to glottic view, then what are the problems faced. So these are the all raw variables. So you have done in 40, in each group, say about 80 patients. So when you have to compare this, raw data actually will not be of any value to a lay person and even to you, because you do not know what difference between the two groups, because you have values with respect to the other. So one by the look of the table, you can know there is a difference in the group, and what is the difference as such. And the graphs make more clear. The graphs basically make them more clear understanding is there, because you can see in the image that which group is better with respect to other, and what is the range of variation. The important thing is that both positive and negative findings are mentioned under the results, and the generally it is a perception that suppose we assume one group A is better than group B, but results may not be the same as we intended to do it, and we tend to change whatever we had found or what we have somehow deciphered. But to believe me, the negative results are more important than positive findings we get, because negative results, firstly, are not reported more often, and secondly, they actually tell us that yes, the groups are same, so it means that there is no difference. So that is a good enough result to say that there is no point trying the other kind of intervention we had done. So you are not wrong result, but it is what you got it. So it may not be what you anticipate mostly. So and then the theoretical presentation along with the graph or a table is included by dividing the results into logical segments with the use of subheadings. So I have side by side opened one of my thesis which was doing. So I'll be showing you some of the results in that. So this is a thesis we did some time back. I'll come down. You are able to see this? Okay. So the title was, we did this thesis for nasotracheal intubation in patients with oropharyngeal carcinoma under general anesthesia. So we compared the gold standard, that is the fiber optic bronchoscope, with a video laryngoscope, which is nowadays available more easily and is thought to be more convenient to do it. So we had collected the data, and now the first group was say age and gender distribution. So then we come to what was the mean age in a particular group with respect to the other, and how was the distribution of the gender. And side by side, we can always put in a graph, relevant graph, depending on the variable you are testing. So in this is a box plot. I'll be coming to it in later section, and you can say how many were. You by the look of it, you know that how many are males, how many are females, and what are the mean age of them, and what is the distribution. So by the look of it, you know this group which is they're more or less similar, but the males were little more than females generally. So you, by the look of it, you know that what is the distribution like. Similarly, you can use this kind of graph. You have bar diagram, and you can see the difference between male and female distribution, and it appears to be similar between across the groups. What we are more important for us is that the distribution should be similar in the two groups. It should not be that one group has only males and other group has only females. That kind of distribution will lead to an inherent bias and may affect the results. So this is more important. One or two numbers here and there are statistically non-significant, and this kind of change is expected. And then we can further divide into different ages if you want to. This becomes important that because if we have a preponderance to a particular extremes of ages, then we may need to do a subgroup analysis. So generally we can see the broadly it is basically between 30 to 70 broadly. So more or less numbers are similar. The mean age was more or less similar. So distribution may vary because some of them may have the males were generally tend to be little older because females are generally less, so males were more in the 30 to 70 bracket. Okay, so each graph, table, or a figure is named and has a sufficient detail attached to it so that we can draw their own inferences. So, whatever graph, figure, table we make, we should have a legend which describes it in detail and tells us whatever this graph, table, figure is all about. Also, if you use some kind of abbreviations in the tables or some kind of marks, then they should be explained in the bottom of the table or the graph. The key results must be stated at the beginning of paragraph with clear sentences. For example, in a case of saying there exists a significant relationship between A and B, we can say, so we have to say what kind of relationship it was. So once we have the result, we have make the tables and the graphs. And then we have to write clearly that what was the relationship. Was it better? Was it worse? So we know there is a relationship, but what kind of relationship was there between the two groups with respect to a variable has to be clearly stated. And results consist of all the statistical analysis presented in a logical forms. Hence, while mentioning it in the text, the analysis must be included and described. So you must write what is the p-value, what is the mean, what is the standard deviation, and so on. For example, as we are seeing this, so you can see we write what was the mean age. So you can write it as plus minus, or you can write it as a bracket, whatever suits you, and or a percentage. This is mean SD, and this is a percentage, and this is in the two groups. And then you write like this, and then you then in the end you write what you infer with whatever you have written as a result. So you say the majority of patients were in the age group 40 to 60 in both the groups. So this is what is your broad interpretation of the result. Similarly, once we come to the weight and height and BMI, then we write what was the mean BMI, mean height, and mean BMI weight in the one group with respect to the other group. Then we can use a kind of bar diagram if you want. Then this is the table, and in this is the p-value, which is important. So you must always write the p-value. Some of the journals, when you eventually publish, are not interested in p-values nowadays. They may ask for a confidence interval. So that 95% confidence interval. So your statistician will help you derive that. And according to them, that has a more value because it gives the broad range between which the results lie for a particular variable in a group. So whatever, but significance has to be clearly mentioned, and you don't write less than 0.5, more than 0.5. That is not acceptable. You have to write the exact p-value. So you see, and preferably to the 2 decimal. Beyond it is not very important. So 0.062, 0.81. So we have clearly mentioned it. Okay. And then in the end, we'll write that. And here we see I have VL is a short form, F is a short form. So VL means a video laryngoscope, F is a fiber-optic bronchoscope. Then we say the table describes the demographic characteristics like age, weight, height, and BMI. All these four, p-value was not significant, were similar in both the groups with no statistical difference. So you have to give that kind of a statement once you write the results, that what was the table all about and what do you mean by results we have written. Okay, let's take one more example. Then there is something called an ASA grading. So I'm sure the anesthetist friend and surgeon friends will know about it, but I'll just tell you in brief that ASA grading is basically the risk assessment of the patient during the pre-anesthesia clinic, that how risky is getting his surgery done. So more the grade, the more riskier is the procedure. So broadly, for the practical purposes for the studies, what we are doing, we generally take 1 and 2 and maximum grade 3. We don't do beyond 3. In this study, we took ASA 1 and 2. So it is important to compare this because suppose if the ASA 2 grade patients were more in a particular group, this might be causing a kind of a bias that results might be affected because of the distribution of ASA status patients in the two groups. So the point I'm trying to make is such variables will be there in all kind of studies. So suppose you start with some kind, say we start with a breast cancer patient. So we have staging, TNM staging of breast cancer. So you might have a distribution of TNM staging which is different in the two groups. So you do not want that. So and if it is there for some reason, ideally it should not be there because we have done a good randomization. We have ensured that all kind of patients have an equal chance, and you tend to include, you could tend to a more inclusive kind of thing. But if somehow it is there, then it has to be mentioned in the limitation. So by the look of it, you can know in this kind of result that a video laryngoscope with a fiber optic bronchoscope, more or less they are similar. Say they are practically more or less similar, and the p-value, say it is not significant, so it is 0.84. So what I'm trying to say is, what you have to be very, very clear in writing your results, making tables, and then interpreting with a affirmative statement what do you think it does mean. So what are the things to remember while presenting statistical analysis and results are? Always indicate the test used with all relevant parameters. As I've earlier showed you, if you use a mean, you have to always mention a standard deviation. Then if you use a median, then you have to mention the interquartile range. So that is 25 and 75. Basically, median is the, if you arrange them in an increasing or decreasing order, the middle part becomes the median, and whatever value comes at the 25th or the 75th point, you will get the median, IQR. So this you can always calculate in Excel sheet as well, but yes, statistician do them, and generally done for those variables which are have a wide range. So distribution is not normal, so you tend to prefer a median for those kind of variables. So mean and standard deviation for normally distributed data, as I earlier told, and for median, interquartile or interpercentile range you use for skewed data, or you have kind of wide variability, so you use a median. So numbers generally reported in form of 2 significant digits unless more precision is necessary. For all practical purposes, we use 2 significant digits in reporting the p-values, unless the digit is coming, unless it is p less than 0.000001. So all those zeros needs to be mentioned. But if after the digit there is a further, you can maximum go up to 2. The captions of figures and tables should contain sufficient information. Earlier told, have to be self-explanatory. So take that little extra time to mention in the captions because it gives a very good impression and it shows that you are very clear with what you are mentioning in the results and the tables. Coming to data, data is basically a set of observations cannot be meaningfully described by values of all individual measurements. Suppose I'll just open one of my Excel sheets. Let me see. So say this is the Excel sheet I opened. Okay. No, it's going full. It's all full. I'm not able to find it. I don't, or basically what I'm trying to suggest is that if you open you know that Excel sheet, there are a lot of variables. So by looking at intervention is better to doing while what should be done by others when to take an opinion based on the Excel sheet. So we need to summarize them by way of tables. So this or a variable. The data which is does not change, and data variable is value and can change. So basically, there are basically two kinds of data. Basically, if something has a value to it, then you will have that the parametric kind of tests, and for the others you will have a non-parametric. So that will probably be covered in another class. Mention the appropriate test you have used. Mention the data appropriately depending upon the data you are presenting. So if it has a number attached, so either use mean or a median mostly, or if it is not a number, then depending on, you may use percentages or other forms which depending on the results you have. So data presentation is the process of reorganizing the mass of raw data, making a frequency distribution or a tabular presentation. So you either make a frequency distribution or a table which makes it more clear for the reader. So this is the first step in description and analysis of any statistical data, and data when interpreted can be presented in a number of forms. So you can write either as a text. So as I showed, you can just keep on writing. I have a lot of theses. You just keep on writing lot of text in the data. You keep on writing. But see, in this particular thesis which I'm trying to show, there are more of tables and limited kind of text, which basically is kind of an interpretation of whatever has been inferred by the person who is doing thesis. Or you can have tables or you can have graphs. So textual presentation is simply mentioned as mere text that is generally in a paragraph. This is commonly used when data is not very large. So if we have a small number of patients, then you can, or a small number of variables, you can always use textual presentation. And it is more for a qualitative state with some data. So text becomes important when the variable are not quantitative. Quantitative means you can measure them. Qualitative means it is more of an you cannot measure them objectively, but there's some kind of opinion-based surveys or some kind of direct questions which the answers are varied. So you don't have same kind of answers. So then becomes a qualitative kind of statement, and for them a textual presentation may be better. For example, we take an example that in 2002 earthquake, there was a mass murder of humans, and as many as 10,000 citizens have reported dead. So for textual representation, you need to be very clear in what you are writing. You need to have more intensive reading, because the quantitative statement, this is because the quantitative statement just serves an evidence of qualitative statements, and one has to go through that entire text before concluding anything. So you need to read through everything and then make a statement which is representative of whatever the data has been collected or whatever you have done. Further, if the data under consideration is large, then text matter may increase substantially. So if you write everything in text, so you know that if you have about 10 variables, suppose this is the table which we are discussing. So we go to one table. So you have to write 2 patients in VL group underwent brachytherapy. 1 patient in F group F underwent brachytherapy. Central artery section was 4 in VL, 3 in group F. So keep on writing, and the whole thing which is concise in about 5 lines will take full. So that is the problem of writing everything in text. Be very, and you have to be very you have to be precise in writing whatever you are, because if you write pages and pages of result, the reading may become more intensive. It is time consuming and cumbersome, and anybody who is reviewing your thesis may not be very happy doing it, and it doesn't give a good impression as well. And one thing more, there is no point repeating whatever you have written in the tables as a text. So that is our habit, that we make a table, then we write it as a text as well, and then we write the interpretation. So rather, it is better, since you have made a table, you need not repeat what is in the table. You just write what is relevant with respect to what is represented in the table. So that is a norm accepted all everywhere, and whenever you publish this will be important for you. It will reduce the redundancy which we usually have sometimes while writing, because we have a habit of writing everything and anything, and will make it more clear and crisp. So you please remember that write only relevant things in the text. Now coming to table facilitates the presentation of even large amounts of data in an attractive, easy to read and an organized manner. So this table is very clear now. You can see a small table tells us what was the distribution of type of surgery in the two groups. And we can see it looks more or less similar. And then we say there was no significant difference between the type of surgery done in both groups. And the most common surgery was a composite resection. So then the other statement you can give is overall the around majority of cases, say about 70% of them were composite resection. So this kind of statement becomes important, that what was more common surgery and whether the distribution was similar. It is important to highlight this because suppose one of the group had a preponderance of a particular kind of surgery while other didn't. This means that there is a possibility that those kind of surgeries were a little more difficult to handle. So that might lead to a bias in the result, that because they were more difficult, that is the reason that it took more time, more complications. So that kind of inference then need to be drawn. So once it is similar, then you are reasonably sure that that kind of bias has been taken care of. So you have to be very careful in doing this. And the data is organized in rows and columns in the table, and this is one of the most widely used forms of presentation of data, since data tables are easy to construct and read. The tabular presentation of qualitative data is often simpler than quantitative data for obvious reasons. In a tabular presentation, data presented in rows and columns, uh, as like any other table, so you have rows and columns and you have present the data accordingly. So this is one of the examples. So we see a table below. There is information about literacy rates. So basically, we have 3 rows. We have the gender, the male, female, and total number of patients. What is the location, urban or rural, and what is the total number of uh, people. So we have 3 rows and 3 columns, and it is basically a standard 3x3 table which gives 9 items of information in 9 boxes. So each box basically is a cell. It is called a cell. So each cell gives information that relates to gender, either it is a male or female or total, and number of literacy, percentages in the rural area, urban area, and total. So by the look of it, you know that number of males were 85 in rural area, 69 they were urban, total number of males 154. Similarly, females were 52 in rural area, urban area was 62, total was 114. Means the number of females were less than males, but the difference was more in the rural population. So total rural population and urban population were similar, and total there were 268. So you have multiple inferences by the look of the table. Once if you start writing all the lines, it will be pages and pages. So make tables more clear, and then give inference what we get from these tables. Then coming to the graphical representation of the data, the frequency table provides a concise or a compact view of data and its principal characteristics. Diagrams, on the other hand, provide a visual method of examining data. So diagrams make a lasting impression, more lasting impressions. You just write numbers, it will be a table. You make a pictorial representation, it has a more kind of impression on whoever is doing it. We have to convey the idea very clearly and forcefully and help us get a real grasp of overall picture rather than details. Many types of graphs and diagrams are used. So you have to be clear in whatever you are presenting, and you have to ensure that right kind of diagram and graphs are used whenever you are presenting the data. One of the common graphs which you use is a pie diagram. Pie diagram basically is a mathematical constant defined as a ratio of circumference of a circle to its diameter. So say diameter is 22/7 or the pi, and the ratio basically is the mathematical constant. So we know that circle is about 360 degrees, and we can divide it into sectors depending upon the proportion to the frequencies or relative frequencies of categories of the variables. So we know that. So this is generally used to represent the qualitative or a categorical data, and it is a good way of displaying data for around 6 categories. So if you have less than 6 or less, you can use a pie chart. So suppose there is a pie diagram showing blood group distribution. So we have A, these are the blood group distribution. So blood group A has frequency of 15, group B has 25, AB has 20, O has 30, total 90 patients. So we divide 90 into 360 degrees. So one patient basically is 4 degrees roughly. So we have 15, it becomes 60, 25 means 100. So you can construct a pie diagram. So this can be done actually directly by the computer. Just to give an example. So I'll make a new kind of this thing. So we have insert, then you go to chart. Suppose you want a pie, we select pie and say okay. Okay. So now it gives a Microsoft Excel will open it independently. Suppose we write group A, group B, AB, and O. These are the 4 groups. Okay. And what was the frequency we had? I'll see in it. So it was 15, 25, 20, and 30. So we have 15, 5. Whatever you write, it will automatically pick it up and make a graph accordingly. And you can customize. See, it is not taking much time. Okay. So it is very clear. So if you want to further edit, you can chart style, you can go. So if you want percentages, you can get percentages. So what I'm trying to say is it is not a difficult job. You want to change the header, you just go to here and you say so it has come. So these are the groups. So you and by the look of it, you know that commonest one is O, followed by B, followed by AB, and followed by A. So it is pretty easy to make, and we can do practically any kind of chart using this Excel and word function. Okay. So coming to bar diagram, it is used to represent qualitative and categorical data. It shows the category on x-axis and frequency on y-axis. I'll be coming to it in the next slide. One bar represents one category or an attribute. The height of the bar is proportional to the frequency of the category. Ideally, each of the bars should be of equal width, and since data is of qualitative nature, bars should not put adjacent and equal gap should be given between the 2 consecutive bars. So I'll be showing you in an example. So you can see the distribution of lung cancer patients by the type of cancer. So we have type A, B, C, three types of cancer. A is squamous cell, B is adenos, and C is a squamous cell cancer, small cell cancer. So we know the frequency, and we can have the total, and we have given the title that bar diagram showing distribution of type of lung cancer, and we can by look of it know which type A or the squamous is most common, and the type C small cell is the least common. This can be plotted in a word as well. So you go to insert, you make a chart. So we were making a bar diagram. So we go to bar and we do a normal kind of bar diagram. Okay. So and you select and you say okay. So you have three series. If you have three kind of patients, if you have only one series, you can just delete these two, and then you add the percentages. Category 1 UK lung cancer incidence. You say this is 20, 30, 35, 25. Suppose these are four types. You can get it immediately. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm again reiterating that it is pretty easy to make. You have to be just select the right kind of, and if you want to make a title, just click on it and you say lung cancer incidence, whatever title you want to put, and it will come here. Okay. You can always make it more beautiful by just changing the font or making it properly. You make L capital and those kind of things. So, and you get a bar chart, and you by the look of it, you know what kind of category it is. You can change the category name also. So you whatever category say small cell cancer. So it will come as small cell. Okay. Then we come to other category, then say squamous. So it can come like that. So coming back to the presentation, so by the look of it, bar diagram, you can know the distribution of patient in the different kind of groups. So bars can be plotted vertically or horizontally, and a vertical bar is sometimes called a line graph. So it doesn't make much of a difference, whatever you may use. But you should have large text labels so that it will tell you what is it all about. So we can have a simple bar diagram, we can have a group or a multi-series, and you can have a composite or a compound. So I'll be coming to it later. So this is a simple bar diagram which I tried to make it. So it also known as single series diagram plot, categorized on the x-axis. So we have different categories. We have Delhi, Bihar, Haryana, Punjab. These are the categories, and this will be the frequency on the y-axis. The values can be negative or positive depending on the variable you are doing. And there is only one data series. So this is a simple bar diagram. Sometimes and usually we have two groups usually. So simple may not, it may be better to plot both of them into the same kind of graph. So you can use a clustered bar diagram basically to represent and compare data of subcategories within the main category. In other words, unlike single series diagram, in this chart, each category has two or more data series. So this is a cluster diagram. So you see, so we are comparing different years, and in each year we have different kind of book sale numbers. So this is the category, and these are the frequency or the numbers. So we have young adult, classic, mystery, romance, and sci-fi and fantasy. And the by look of it, you know that say in 2007, romance was the most common, most basically earning so maximum with this kind of books. And then for classics, it's more or less similar. There's a dip in 2010. Then sci-fi fantasy has been more or less similar. So these kind of inferences can be drawn. So once we have, now we come back, how do you make it? So here only you can just go. So now even in this, so you delete this. Maybe I'll do it again for you. So we insert a chart. We do for a category this one. So by default it has come. So we have series 1. So we say group A. Then we say group B. And suppose we don't have other third group, so we delete this. Okay. So we have two groups, and these are the categories. So category can be say squamous, say different kind of categories are there. So you can always write what are the category and you write the numbers and this will be changed. So it is as simple. You can have other kind of titles. You can have it like this, in which they are together. The space is less. You can have this. You can choose whatever you want to represent it, and depending on your preferences and the format your workplace is suggesting, you can pick and choose and then decide on it. Then we have a stacked bar diagram. Stacked bar diagram is known as a segmented composite component or a compound bar diagram. It is similar to the clustered and a group bar diagram. Stacked bar diagram is used to present and compare data of subcategories within the same category. The difference lies in the way the data is presented. Each main category forms one bar comprising of individual segments representing subcategories. The size of each segment represents the measured numerical value of that segment. So the more the frequency, the more will be the length of this segment. In other words, each bar will represent the whole and its segments show the parts of the whole. So suppose some you do a study in which you are comparing the characteristics over weeks in a patient. So you say what is the frequency of a sore throat after some kind of surgery. So what is the frequency in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and we can further add on to it. So each individual or a subcategory or segment is differentiated using different colors or shades, so that we can know which color represents which category. And stack bar charts can be plotted horizontally or vertically. That can be done for any kind of chart and doesn't make much of a difference. Okay. So now coming to histogram. Histogram basically category is shown on X, and for all the graphs, mostly the category is on the X-axis and frequency on Y-axis. A bar for the frequency in each class interval. The area of each bar is proportional to the frequency of the representative class interval. So the area is proportional to the frequency of the class interval. So more the area, more is the frequency. Each bar need not have equal width, as it depends on the width of the class interval. So say if the class interval is variable, so in this is pretty same. So it is more or less similar. But if the class interval changes, say if it is 4 to 8, then 8 to 5, 8 to 10, then 10 to 13. So if it is variable, the width will also change. Since the data is quantitative, they are continuous in nature. Bars should be adjusted with no gap in between. So we can see the adjustment, there is no gap, and you can see the frequency. So it basically shows the frequency distribution on IOP in the right eye. So this is the range of pressures. So it is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, and 27. Then we say what is 4 to 7? 4 to 7 frequency is 10, 8 to 11 is 30, and so on. Total is 185. So this shows that what is the normal, if you want to say about it is about, say, less than 11 we take is normal. Is about 40, more than 70, more than 20 is definitely high, and this is intermediate. So you can categorize depending on the results we are getting. Then we have a scatter chart. Scatter chart basically appears the numerical graph pairs of numerical data are there with one variable on each axis to look for a relationship between them. So we have two variables. Say we take experience of anesthetist and the intubation time. So we have two variables, and so they are plotted on the graph. And if the variables are correlated, the points will fall along a line or a curve. The better the correlation, the closer will be the points to the line. So it is important kind of a graph. So we can see. So we have a data, we have here, and you can see the scatter plot. So we can just show you here how to do a scatter plot as well. So we delete this, then we insert, we go to charts. This is a scatter plot, okay. So we, as usual, will get two values, x and y. Suppose x say is experience we do in years, say it is less than 5, say 5 to 10, and say 15. 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years is the experience. Say y values are the intubation time, so we can say about less experience and more time, so 15 seconds. As we experience increases, the time will reduce, and say with 15 years experience, the intubation is 8 seconds. So you can have a scatter graphs, okay. You have a scatter between two variables. So we can see the relationship with respect of one variable to the other. So as we can see that as the experience is increasing, the time is decreasing. So by look of the graph, you know the correlation between the two variables to some extent. Okay. Now we come to one of the most fancy charts nowadays. Everybody is talking about these in research papers as well. So we have a box plot. Box plot basically is nothing but a way of representing statistical data on a plot in which a rectangle is drawn to represent the second and third quartiles, usually with a vertical line to indicate the median value. The lower and upper quartiles are known as horizontal lines, shown as horizontal lines on either side of the rectangle. Basically, it is used in explanatory data analysis, and this type of graph is used to show the shape of distribution, its central value, and its variability. So we have a box plot, we have a median, we have first quartile, we have third quartile, we have a minimum, we have a maximum, and there is an outlier. So you know what is the distribution of the data with respect to the median of the patient. So, okay, so I'll just show you one of the box plots. Okay, so this is one box plot. So we are doing this study comparing fiber optic versus video laryngoscope for intubation and head and neck cancer patients. So we can see that there is no statistical difference in glottic exposure between the two groups. This so we can see time to glottic view. You can see the median. This line is median. So this was with the POGO score. So we'll skip this. We come to this time to glottic view. So we can see the time to glottic view was say about 15 seconds in group video laryngoscope and say about 25 seconds in group fiber optic. So it is more in the fiber optic group. There are some outliers in this group. And then we can see the 25-75 ranges. So the broad range is basically between 15 to 60 and from say about 12 to 25. So this is more consistent video laryngoscope. So we have to write about the graph, the box whisker plots illustrating time to glottic view in seconds in group VL and group F. It would be good if you write the inner horizontal line within the box represent the median time. This is the median time. And the other outer lines represent the 25th and 75th quartile. So this is the 25th quartile, this is the 75th quartile. Okay. Similarly, for intubation time, we can see. So we have this is the median. We can, by the look, we know the median is more in the F group F. Then we have the IQR ranges. So these are the IQR ranges. So this says box whisker plot illustrating total intubation time in group VL and group F. The inner line within the box represents the median time for intubation, and the outer lines represent 25th and 75th choral lines. So you can practically see by the look of it, we know the main results. I think I'll have one more of, okay. This is one more box plot in which we did the pogo scoring. The pogo scoring is basically percentage of glottic view between 0 to 100. And we can see the pogo score median was say about 80% in glottic in this VDL group and say about little more than 90% in the F group. And the variability was more with the videolaryngoscope. So the interquartile range ranged from say about 50 to 100, while in FOB group it ranged from 50 to 100, from 70 to 100. So we know the pogo score was better with the fiber optic bronchoscope. So this is about the box plot. So it's commonly used. Say you can say these are in fashion nowadays. And for the main variables for which you are taking a median, you can always use a box plot. So you can prove or disapprove the hypothesis with the use of different tests, which is discussed in the next module. So testing hypothesis is a different module, so we'll not be discussing. So this was my last slide, and I have kept it small because we can always discuss. So you can come up with the questions you have, so that I'll try to solve them, and it will help you to write your results and discussion. So questions, can anybody wants to ask any questions?
Sir, how to make box plot in MS Word?
Okay, you want to know how to put block? I'll just. So you go to insert, you go to chart, okay, and you have different time. You can say box display plot. Okay, you just select this and say okay. It may not be available in all versions of Word, but yes, most of them newer versions will have it. So then you can have series. So generally we have two group thesis. So we delete this. Okay, now we have two. Okay, and we have say two. You want to use only one category. You can have two. Okay, if you want to have two, I'll delete this. Okay. Okay, delete three. तो नहीं आना चाहिए. So I say group one. I say group two. So I say time to glottic view. Then I said time to intubation. For box plot, this is not the right way. For that, you will need draw data, and then you select. So I'll open my Excel sheet. Okay. See. Okay. So I suppose it is group one. I'll just see if I have something there in my data. Okay. I'll take a minute. Okay, don't worry. So I'll just show you. I'll just open. Then okay. So probably it is not in this. I wanted to show you a real example. Otherwise, I'll cook some and then show you. Give me some time. Okay, so now this is the raw data. Okay, so we have two groups. So suppose we want to time to glottic view is there. So we just pull this up and put it in another sheet. This is group one. Okay, this is group say one group. Okay, so I'll say TGV1. I'll remove this kind of variables, and then we go to the other group. This is the group one, and then this is the group two. Okay, so I'll say it is 2 and remove. These are the variables which I have calculated. There is some problem in the copy pasting, so maybe. Okay, okay. So now I have pasted the area of the variables, the raw data in an Excel sheet. Then I can say insert. I can say recommended chart. So if you want to make a scatter, so it will give you scatter. So now, but I am interested in a bar. I am interested in box whisker plot. So I will go to charts, all charts, and I go to box whisker plot, and I say okay. There is some confusion. No, okay. See, normally we get this done from my statistician and will try. Generally, it comes like this. So, okay, this is boss whisker plot. So now it has come. See, so this is the series 1 and series 2, and this chart has come. So if I delete this, so I can try to do it. So generally you do it like this. So if there is an issue with it, probably we can take help of one of our statisticians who is helping us out. But for box whisker, yes, you need a raw data. Beyond it, without it, it will not come. So now it has come. Okay. So so you plot your raw data because you needing that median and the IQR. So you cannot just put the data and get it. So the computer will automatically calculate the ranges for you, and these dots are all are the people who are beyond the range. So they are beyond the normal range, and we can see the median. So median is say about 12 and say about 9 in this, and the IQR is this. If you want to reconfirm, you can calculate the median here. You go and insert function and say median, and you will get a median. So it says median is 14. So it is something like that. And for the other group, the median is 10. So it is coinciding with 10. Similarly, so basically you can get this chart, but you need the raw data for that. And you can always take the help of the person who is doing statistics for you to get these charts. I'll give you a good kind of idea that it is. You just see what are the good papers on the articles which are similar to that, and see how they are presented to begin with, and this will help you to decide on the charts you will be using. You can use for your research thesis or paper subsequently. So it will help you guide and use the appropriate charts. And it is always a good idea to know what do you want from the thesis, so that the person who will be doing statistics will help you. You make them understand what do you want from what was the primary objective and what do you want from the what kind of results are there, so that he'll help you decide on the right kind of charts in case you find some problem. But generally, broadly, as I discussed, mostly you will be able to decide. There will be few areas which become little tricky. For them, you can take a help. Hanji, tell me.
Sir, as per your third class slide, which you have shown in the thesis, the median line merges with the Q3 line. What does it indicate, and is it possible, sir?
See, we have minimum, maximum, and first quartile and third quartile. It is like this only. So even in this, if we calculate, say this minimum, suppose I do minimum in this, you can just calculate like this. So I'll go to statistical test. It is like this only. So whatever is written is like that. So suppose I go to max, so maximum is 82. So if I go to max in this, it will be 82 only. So this is 82. Okay. So even in this you can see. So these are the quartiles and this is the. So we have the median, we have the quartiles, and we have minimum and maximum. This is between the box edges of the box is the interquartile range, which is important when you report the median. And sometimes they might be outlier. So those who are not in the range is like an outlier. So in this, so these two are outliers. Okay. So if we remove the outliers, the maximum will be 40 only. So there are two outliers. One is 82 and one is 54, and rest are within the range. I hope it was clear. So we have median, we have first quartile, second, third quartile, and then minimum and maximum.
BMI should be presented as bar diagram or histogram? Histogram.
What is an histogram? Histogram is like this. No, BMI is a kind of a single graph. So it should be like a bar diagram. I'll show you if I have done in my thesis with the candidate. Let me see. See, we have done a bar diagram. Okay. We can use multiple in the same. So we have BMI, we have height, we have weight. It is in the same diagram. Histogram is for something which is a continuous kind of frequency. I'll show you the example we discussed. So we are talking about intraocular pressure, which is a continuous range from 4 to 27. So that's why they are interconnected with each other. See, so in the histogram only we wrote that the data is quantitative, continuous data, and bars should be adjacent with no gap in between. This is basically for something which is a continuous data, something like a blood pressure measurement you may use, intraocular pressure, those kind of things you may consider using histogram if needed.
So thank you for the excellent presentation. Can you share your email for any contact with any clarification? Because everything cannot be clarified at this moment.
Yes, definitely. You can take my email address.
Yes, sir.
I'll just type on this and you can just note it. Okay.
Already send your question number.
My email is visible to you.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, okay. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions you want to ask? We have some time left, so we can take some questions.
Sir, this box plot, can you again tell, because other things we are using it regularly. Box plot and this discuss. If you can just briefly once more go through it.
See, it is something. So basically, you need a raw data for a box whisker plot. So you have to just enlist them one after the other. Suppose these are the two groups and this is the time. So we'll take one more example. So I'll do it again for you. Okay, I'll do it. So now we take the other variable. So we say time to trickle incubation. Okay. So I take uh, one, paste it here. Okay. Then I go to the other group. I'll paste it here again. So if you're doing that, it will be it's a simple way of doing, and you can do it uh, at your own age. So we have taken this thing. I'll just make it clean. Just reduce. I've highlighted because some reason, so we'll remove that. Okay. Then you select the group, two groups. Then go to insert, go to charts. So you can always have a scatter diagram like this to find if there is an association. But we are interested in going for other kind of charts. So we go to and we select the plot. Again, it is showing like this. There's some issue. ये फिर ऐसे आ रहा है कुछ गड़बड़ हुई है जस्ट हेलो अब 5 मिनट में क्लास खत्म होने वाला है फिर मैं आता हूँ 5 मिनट वेट करो हाँ हाँ ठीक है So see, you have taken the variables, you select the raw data. So that they have been entered correctly, and then you get the Boswiska plot. You can put the title. You can say time to incubation. So then you can, if you want to show this also, you can say you can write text options. You can write edit here also. These are the times intervals. So if you want to make it, you can format the major grid lines. So from 0 to 180 instead. So you can see it is starting generally from say about minimum is 20. So you can start from 20 and maximum is about 160. So you can go to, so 180 is okay. Then display unit you can say is none and you can say okay. So it starts from 20. So these are the changes you can do. But basically you need a raw data. You have to select the two groups together and then go and insert and select a particular graph, especially for a box plot. Okay.
Sir, what is the difference between box plot and error bar?
And box plot
Error bar diagram.
see, error bar is a different kind of diagram. So I'll have to just search. So in which kind of this thing you are doing? What is the variable you're wanting to do in this?
Sir, actually for the comparison of mean for the two groups, to compare whether there is the error, but the comparison. So we want to like compare box rather than box plot. Error bar is the preferable option, but I'm not sure how to get in Excel.
So I'm not, see, Excel will give you limited kind of possibilities. Rest you will have to get with the help of a statistician.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
And error is basically for, it will depend upon the mean. Okay. And this is basically more for the median. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So it gives standard error confidence interval. So that is for a mean if the data is calculated as a mean. So let me see if I can get it. But I have not made an error graph myself. I'll give it a try. But there is a limitation to what it gives you. I don't think it is possible on this. So you'll have to take the help of a statistician. So in a strata or a SPSS, it will be easier to do that. Okay. So it will not be possible here. So because it doesn't give that option.
Okay, sir. So there are two types of data are there. One is exclusive, one is inclusive, right? Suppose one group is 10 to 19, another is 20 to 29, and compared to some groups are like 10 to 20, 20 40. So is there a difference? Is there any problem like with kind of things? Sir, here like
No,
4
it
to
all
7. Yes, sir.
it was 4 to 7. Okay, you are saying that instead of 4 to 7, it was 4 to 8, and then it was
8 to
8 to 11.
11.
I'll have to check and I'll get back on this. Okay, as of now, I'm not very clear on what the issue. I'll give an answer to Akansha and she will share. Okay.
Yes, sir. Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Then I think we have no queries for today now. And many of the queries have been answered also. How to decide. So thank you very much, sir, for an enlightening presentation and honoring us with your presence.
Thank you,
This
Akansha.
session was extremely informative.
Thank you, Akansha. And I again take this opportunity to thank the Director in Institute of Applied Sciences and Dr. Shubham for giving us this opportunity to interact with the residents and discuss the basics of medical research. And I'm sure it is just the beginning, and all of the students who are attending these sessions will be wiser for future, and they will do good quality medical research in future. I wish them best of luck for their thesis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So now moving on to our next session, we'll proceed for 10 minutes break. The sessions will be resuming again at 12:25.
हम अभी तो नहीं कर रही हूँ ना कुछ, अभी प्लानिंग भी नहीं है क्योंकि आप देखिए ना, आप तो विंटर आ रहा है, मतलब भी नहीं है ना। इसको पूरा तरफ कर। हाँ, हाँ, हाँ। नहीं, नहीं। तो रिलेक्शन अभी तक नहीं आया। रूम नंबर 106 अभी भी नहीं है, बट उन्होंने तो बोल दिया कि सामान आ गया है। 10। हाँ हाँ हाँ, 100 और कितना दिन टाइम लगेगा? हम्म। बट बहुत दिन का मतलब जब से हॉस्टल में शिफ्ट कर रही हूँ तब से वो फैन खराब है, मतलब एक दिन भी नहीं चला वो फैन। और 1 महीना हो गया, हर 2-3 दिन बाद ऐसे बोल रहा हूँ कि कब होगा कब होगा। इतना डिले ऐसे तो नहीं होना चाहिए ना। तो क्या कर सकते हैं यार, इतना कुछ हो रहा है। बाथरूम का जो फैन है ना, तो हाँ हाँ वो खराब है, तो वो शुरू से ही नहीं काम करते थे। हम्म, हम्म, हम्म। हाँ, तो उन्होंने बोल दिया था कि 28 तक सामान आ जाएगा, मतलब इस वीक से सामान आ जाएगा तो हो जाएगा, तो इसलिए तो ये बोली जा रही हूँ बट नहीं हो रहा है, तो ठीक है।
Hello. Mahi? Hello, Akansha. Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
Akansha. Can I
Ma'am, yes,
start?
ma'am.
Can I start?
Yes, ma'am. Please continue, ma'am. 12:25 तक I just announced that break. 12:25.
Okay.
Almost 12:23.
So let's wait for 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. Fine.
हेलो ना बट क्या करना है देखो ना इसके ऊपर से मैम ने हमें मैसेज किया है कि व्हाट द अपडेट है तो क्या बोलना चाहिए हम
All the delegates are requested to kindly mute themselves. Dr. Aaron Margarez, please mute yourself.
तो तुमको तो टेस्ट कराना चाहिए क्या करना है मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि सर को मैसेज कर देंगे कि ऐसे क्योंकि देखो आज सैंपल कलेक्शन तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं होगा तो हम लोग को जाने का मतलब क्या है पर मिलने जाने के भी तो कोई फायदा नहीं है ना क्योंकि सर तो अंदर रहेगा तो हम लोग को तो कोई प्रॉब्लम मतलब तो एटलीस्ट तुम भी मैसेज कर दो
Dr. Charumathi, ma'am, please mute yourself. Dr. Charumathi.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Very good afternoon once again to all respected delegates. And now this is my yesterday's second lecture. And as I told you earlier also that these topics are quite independent topics. So it's easy to understand as well as relate. And these are not the connected topics. So need not to worry about. My second lecture, I'm going to share the slides also for your convenience. Second lecture is all about review literature. As I have told you in my previous lecture, that reviewing the existing literature related to your identified topic is again very important. And sometimes, or I must say most of the times, our delegates or students used to think that reviewing is not that much important work, and if we just want to increase the width of our thesis, we can add lot of reviews without going through, just by downloading and collecting and taking out the printout or and adding in the thesis. But no, exactly, let me tell you very clearly that reviewing, literature review is a very important work that will clarify your ideas, your concepts, your title, your objective, even your methodology also. It will also help in what type of research design you should select, what a specific analysis method will be accurate for your specific data set and everything. So for all important perspective that we have discussed, 9 points that should come while writing your thesis, at each and every step, if you have gone through your reviews, existing reviews, or if you have done religious review literature, it will help you a lot. So I have fragmented my lecture once again in two parts. First, how to perform literature search. Sometimes our students, our delegates didn't know exactly what we mean by literature search and how to do a proper literature search. And the second is writing the literature review, how to write literature, how to frame literature review. So framing, searching and framing, these are two different parts. So I'm going to start first how to search. But before starting these two segments of my lecture, I want to explain what is now in this era, now in the era of Google, now in the era of lot of search engines we have, and there are plenty of portfolios where we can enter the keywords and phrases and we will get huge number of documents. In this era, literature search is not the problem, but literature screening is the actual challenge for us. Literature search is the problem in the time of libraries, when we used to go in the library and we have to search each and every book and journals and documents in the stacks. But now with one click we can get huge number of articles and literatures and documents. But now data screening is important. So literature search is more important, but is much more important than mere searching, right? So I'm not going to explain. Basically, literature search, basically it is literature screening. So these two terms are synonyms to each other. Literature search is to go through the existing literature, right? Just in order to acquaint yourself with the available body of knowledge in your area of interest or in the area of your study, right? So searching literature of your use is basically to find out the needle in the haystack. If there is a huge haystack and you have to find one needle, this much toughness is there to find an appropriate article in the huge number of articles. That is data screening or literature screening. It ensures that the researcher is not duplicating work. If you have gone through the literatures properly, you can ensure yourself that you are not going to duplicate work already done, and is also giving credit where it is. Ideas, establish the theoretical roots of your study, and develop your research methodology. So it helps you to clarify your ideas that I have told you for each and every step, right from your topic till the end of your writing limitations, right? So it provides a theoretical background. As I have told you in my previous lecture, if there is any theoretical framework, you should go for that theoretical framework to plan your study properly. And for that, you have to do a religious literature search. Literature search will also bring clarity and focus to your search problem. It helps in refining your research methodology. You have framed your research methodology, but once you go through the existing literatures, you will be able to understand better and you will be able to refine it in a better way. It will also broaden your knowledge base in your research area and enable you to contextualize your findings in relation to the existing body of knowledge and integrate your findings with it. So integration is basically when you write your discussion part, as I have told you earlier also, the discussion part is basically to integrate your finding with the findings of other researchers that has carried out their studies in that specific area. So that integration of your findings should come in the part of discussion. And for writing a good discussion, you need good number of articles, right? Now I'm moving ahead. Can you imagine that there are 6 steps of literature review? Do you know there are also 6 steps of literature review? If you want to do a good literature search and if you want to get good and very connected reviews related to your interest area, then it should be in a very planned manner, and there are basically 6 steps. First step is to identify the major theme that I have discussed earlier also. Now framing the research question. So first 2 steps are to identify a major theme and to frame a research question. The third is planning the literature search. So you should start thinking that how to plan your literature searching. Searching process is not mere a single step process to just enter a keyword and start searching. No, what to enter should be planned. in which search engine you have to start your search, that you should plan. Getting? So planning of literature search is the third step. Now, after planning your literature search and after conducting your literature search, recording and evaluation of your search result is equally important. Because we used to do that, if we feel that this article is good, we used to download it and keep it in our laptop. After some time, when we feel that our laptop is overburdened with the downloaded document, we used to start deleting documents. And we feel that whenever we want, we can get the documents again. But it's not like that. Sometimes, though, some good documents that we have able to get earlier, we may not get later on. Fine. So evaluating our search results and recording of search results is also very important. The fifth step is intermittent review of your search plan, whether appropriate search engine we are searching, whether correct phrases are entering or not, whether we are properly recording or not, whether we are evaluating our search plan or not. So reviewing reviewing of our search plan intermittently is equally important, and this is the fifth step of literature search, literature review. And the last step, that's the final purpose of all literature that we have served, is synthesizing the results. Synthesizing or contextualizing or interrelate our study results with the study results of other researchers who have carried out their study in that specific area in which we are interested is the final goal of all literature review, all literature search. Right? So there are basically 6 steps. I have made 4th step red because this is very important, and I'm going to tell you how to record your search result. So to record your search result, you can make this type of table, in which serial number, title of the article, year and place of publication, in which year this article has been published and where it has been conducted, objectives of this study, methodology that they have failed, major findings of their study, what recommendation, if they have given any recommendation, that recommendations, and if they have portrayed some limitations of their study, it should also come. So these are some of the main points that you should try to find out while recording the search results, right? This is the way you should keep all the records of your parent articles, right? Now, developing a search strategy. As I have told you in 3rd step, that you should plan your literature search. Before planning your literature search, there must be a search strategy. There are a number of strategies. I'm going to discuss a Picot method. Picot method is one of the most simplest method to, and it's a search strategy basically. And it's very simple. Like P stands for patient or study population or subject. I stands for intervention or indicator. C stands for comparator, comparison or control. O stands for outcome, and T stands for time. So I have just given an example of one of the title, and I will discuss how we can fragment it in different Picot identities, like gap analysis. So here the intervention or indicator is to identify the gap. So gap analysis is the purpose of this study. So the direction that we want to get with the title is, in this study, what is the work that we are going to do to identify the gap, right? So gap analysis for what? Gap analysis of reproductive and child health services. What RCS services are carried out for whom? For pregnant women. Where? Of northern India. That gap we want to identify. So here the study population is pregnant women. Intervention is gap analysis. Here comparison or comparator or control group is not, there is no control group, but we have taken pregnant women, and normal, if we want to compare, normal women can be used as comparator, but in this study we didn't use. Outcome is, what will be the outcome? Outcome is the result of the gap analysis regarding RCS services that has been provided to the pregnant women of northern India. Right? In this specific title, time is not mentioned, but in some study titles, we can also mention the time in last 3 years. Gap analysis of last 3 years or regarding reproductive and child health services carried out by like this, right? So it's not essential that all the 5 components of PICOT method must come in all titles, but more or less we can fragment the title on the basis of PICOT method. So we can get different phrases or keywords by which we can enter these keywords or phrases and we can get the search, right? Search results. These are some of the online biomedical databases. Most of the students start their search from Google search. Google is not made for academicians. Google is not for us. Google search engine is not for researchers. Google Scholar is the freely available search engine specifically made for researchers or academicians. So we should know in which specific search engine we should search our literatures. Getting my point? There are a number of biomedical databases like doctors. You have heard this name, I think. National Library of Medicine, NLM, Medline. Elsevier is very rich. Cochrane Library again is a very rich database available. WHO has its own host database system. Google Scholar, as I have told you, Index Copernicus, and Indian Medlar, that is INDMED, in which all the peer-reviewed medical journal published specifically in India has been attached with. So these are some of the identified 8 biomedical databases in which you should search your literature. Other than this, if you are searching, it means you are wasting your time and energy, right? So specific search engine should be taken care of in that in which way that specific search engine will help you, right? Now, here I'm going to discuss about 2 specific search engine, PubMed and Cochrane. I just want to give a glimpse that what is the exact difference. There is some minute difference. There is some minute difference.
Talk afterwards, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Please, delegates, keep yourself mute, please. I just want to tell PubMed and Cochrane, these are 2 very good search engine available in the field of biomedical, and there is minute difference between PubMed and Cochrane. What minute difference is there and how we can make our search more effective, that I just want to tell you with a small example. See, PubMed provide access to citation from biomedical literature free to anyone with a computer and accessible anywhere. Limited full text article is accessible, that is a limitation. And let's look up pheochromocytoma. I have taken a word pheochromocytoma, right? Now I am going to search this specific terminology, pheochromocytoma, in both the search engine, in PubMed as well as in Cochrane. And you will appreciate the difference of these 2 biomedical databases. This is the first page of PubMed. When you start searching on PubMed, this type of screen will appear in your computer, and you will see that here is the display board, as well as there is PubMed mention, in which I have mentioned pheochromocytoma. Once we click on go, they will return 15,652 total literatures, out of which 1560 is the reviews. I have taken a larger view of it. You will see 1560 all and review 1560 reviews and 15,652 total literatures. It has been returned just by entering pheochromocytoma. Now I'm just going to tell you the beauty of just putting inverted comma. See, just by putting inverted comma, pheochromocytoma risk factors. I have entered this. When I entered pheochromocytoma and click go, it returns 15,652 articles and 1560 reviews, which is horribly a huge number of data, and data screening is one of the toughest work. So what I did, I only add double inverted comma, pheochromocytoma risk factor. And you won't believe it returns only 99 articles in place of 15,652 articles. And in place of 1560 reviews, it reduced it drastically, and it returns only 31 reviews. Now you can appreciate that how much our task becomes easy now just by putting a double inverted. So by putting some of the tools or some of the techniques we can apply to make our search more effective. We can also, in PubMed, there is a feature to sort by date, sort by author, sort by journal. By sorting by author can return you the articles of one author. If you have the idea that, for example, in my field of community medicine, K. Park is one of the known names. If I want to get all the articles written by K. Park, then I just sort by Park, K. Park, and it will return all the articles in which Mr. K. Park has contributed. So there is a feature of sorting by date or by author or by the name of the journal. Fine. Similarly, the same word I have entered in Cochrane library. You have seen that when I entered pheochromocytoma word in PubMed, they returned what they returned. They returned 15,652 article and 1560 reviews, but no clinical trials they have shown. Right? This is the fundamental difference between PubMed and Cochrane. If you want to get meta-analysis or clinical trials, then Cochrane library will be the better database. Fine. If you only want some of the articles or reviews, then PubMed will be the better database. So I have entered the same word pheochromocytoma in Cochrane library, and you will appreciate that they have returned how much clinical trial? 54. Just by entering pheochromocytoma in PubMed, they didn't return a single clinical trial. But in Cochrane library, when we enter the word pheochromocytoma, they returned clinical trials. How much? 54. So Cochrane library is rich in clinical trials as well as meta-analysis. But when I put double inverted comma pheochromocytoma risk factor in Cochrane library, it again reduces our efforts, it reduces our workload, and it returns only 2 clinical. Then our work becomes so easy. We can go through the complete 2 clinical trials returned by the software. Getting my point? So sometimes we can use such type of facilities and we can reduce our workload if we have techno-friendly, right? So always remember that literature search is an iterative process. It is always try to be inclusive, but not too much exhaustive, and stick to references mostly from last 5 years. That is a suggestion. If you are going to work in rare areas, then it is different. Then your point is different. But if you want to do some work in some common areas, then references of last 5 years is more than enough. Fine. Now, there are a number of techniques to improve our literature search, out of which one technique is very effective technique to apply Boolean logics. Now, let me explain you what is exactly Boolean logic and who introduced this concept. A British mathematician named George Boole, in a very short lifespan, between 1815 to 1864, near about only of 45 years, 46 to 45 years, he developed an algebraic system of logic that now widely used in computer and electronic system, including database searching. That standard Boolean logic starts from 3 words: and, or, not, and all 3 should always be in abbreviations. Always it should be in capital. Otherwise, computer will not consider it as a Boolean logic. They will consider it as a simple and, or not joining words. Right? Getting my point? So, how to use these Boolean logic? I'm going to explain. But let me explain first what's the role and function of AND operator, what's the role and function of OR, and what's the role and function of not, then I will tell you how you can frame a sentence for search by using these Boolean logics. Fine. And operator is returned both terms including in any result. So it concises the search result in very specific returns. Fine. For example, drug and cancer. By applying and operator, you only get those articles in which both the terms will be there, drug as well as cancer. If any article have only drug, then this operator will not return. If any article have only the word cancer, it will not return. Getting? So if a record has only one of the two terms, it will not be retrieved. And if the record has neither term, दोनों में से कोई नहीं है, then it will also not get retrieved. Fine. So and the used to concise the search results. Right. Now using and groupings contain terms for different ideas and concepts and combine or groupings. So if you want to add or groupings with and, what you have to do, I will tell you later. So heart attack and smoking, these are two different concepts. So in between these two different concepts, what we have to add and. So Picot method is one of the method to identify different concepts of your title. That such strategy is used to identify different concepts of your title on the basis of patient, on the basis of indicator, on the basis of comparator, on the basis of outcome, or on the basis of time. Getting it? So heart attack and smoking, diabetes and exercise, cancer and treatment. These are different concepts. So in different concepts, we use the term and, we use the operator and. And if we have the same concepts, but we are using synonyms, that then for synonyms in parenthesis, we use the operator or. Treatment or therapy. But this treatment or therapy should come in parenthesis, in bracket. Let me explain you further. Or, only one, not both. It means of the terms are in the result, or will retrieve the record if both are included. Anyone, dogs or canines, all the articles that have only one word dogs, all the results that have only one word canines, and all the results that have both the terms dogs and canines. It means or operator returns you the maximum literature having all the words. Right? Now, or operator or grouping contain term for the same idea or same concept and usually put in parenthesis. So term or term or term, it means faculty or teachers or professor. Anyone can be used. Student or learner or pupil, anyone can be used. So in such type of synonyms, if different concepts are there, then you have to use only one operator, that is and operator. If concept is same and you are using the synonyms, then between the synonyms you have to use the or operator, but it should be in parenthesis, because you have to attach and operator and or operator. If you are not planning to attach and an or operator, then it's okay. But without attaching, it will not serve the purpose. Right? Now, not operator. Not operator excludes any results containing the term. Records containing both will not be retrieved. What does not do to the amount of record retrieved? For example, drugs, but not antibiotics. So, when we use the not operator, it will return all the documents which have the term drugs, but those documents which have the term antibiotic will not be retrieved. Getting my point? So they will return all the result which have drug, but not including, by excluding antibiotic. So exclusion criteria not works like exclusion criteria, right? So using not statement are usually put last and can contain an or grouping. They can often use to get rid of common subgroups like student. But if you don't want dental student, then you can put not operator. You are going to study on diabetes. but not on juvenile diabetes, then you can use the operator not. But not operator usually comes in the last, right? Putting them together, identify the concepts. So by different search strategies that as I have told you about Picot method, you can use Picot method, or you can by yourself, by your understanding, by your common sense, you can identify different concepts of your title. The first thing is identification of concepts of your topic. In your topic, how many concepts are there? I will show you one example, you will be more clear. List specific terms for each concept. Now you have to find out the synonyms for each concept, right? Put the term for each concept in an or statement within parentheses. If you have identified synonyms for single concepts, then you have to use the or operator in parentheses. Combine or statement with and operator, because for and operator you need different concepts, okay? And add any not statement to the end if it is there, but not statement is not necessarily to put, right? Now I am going to show you one example. I have identified one title. The title is, or the research question is vitamin C helpful in treating the flu? This is a research question. Now I have to search for this specific research question. Literature search, I have to do literature search. I have identified 4 concepts for this specific single sentence. See how I have, as much concepts will be there, it will be more precise your search result will be. So try to fragment your research question or title in more number of concepts. Getting my point, right? So the concept first is influenza, flu. The second concept is vitamin C, or you can start from vitamin C. Concept 3 is treatment. Concept 4 is helpfulness. And so there are basically 4 concepts. See, by getting these 4 concepts, the complete sentence, meaning of complete sentence came. Vitamin C, helpfulness, treatment, and flu. Other than these 4 terms, there is only 3 words, is, in, the. Okay, so complete sentence has been covered by fragmenting it into 4 concepts. Now for these 4 concepts, you have to identify the synonyms. So between these 4 concepts, what operator you have to keep? What operator you have to attach? Tell me. Delegates? Delegates? Please tell me in your chat box. Between these 4 concepts, which operator you have to put?
Or.
Between different concepts, different
And ma'am.
and
or.
no,
And
different concepts. Between different concepts, you have to add and operator. In concept 1 and concept 2, you have to add and operator. When synonyms come between influenza and flu, you have to add or operator.
Or.
Fine? Is it clear? Is it clear? Now I am going to show.
Yes,
See,
ma'am.
influenza or flu,
Yes.
vitamin C or ascorbic acid or ascorbate, treatment or therapy or management, outcome or recovery or success. Getting my point? Now see the complete sentence by putting and as well as or. If you want to attach and or operator, how you have to attach? The first concept is influenza and its synonym is flu. So in first parenthesis, influenza or flu. First concept over. Now between first concept and second concept, you have to put and operator. So or operator should kept in parenthesis. So first concept over, influenza or flu, parenthesis closed. And operator we have mentioned. Now second concept, vitamin C or ascorbic acid or orange juice, parenthesis, second parenthesis closed. Now again we have to put and operator for adding the third concept. The third concept is treatment or therapy or management. Third concept over, third parenthesis closed. And the fourth, for fourth concept, we have to add one more and operator. So and operator and fourth concept, that is outcome or recovery or success. Let me tell you, This is not tough work or complicated work. This is very easy. Now, actual tedious work, computer will do for you. All permutation combination computer will do. Computer will take influenza from one first bracket and one word from each bracket, enter it, and will give you all the result. Then computer will take flu and will attach single word from each parenthesis and search and will give you result. So when you apply Boolean logic, you will see search result will increase with passage of time. Initially, it may show 52. After 2-3 seconds, it will show 103. After 1 or 2 seconds, it will return 704. So gradually, it permutation combination computer will do and will search and will give you results. Getting my point? I'm telling you, it is very tedious work if we want to do it manually. But once we use the Boolean logics, Boolean operators, and if we make such type of statements and we enter this type of statement in the appropriate search engine, it will reduce our work 100 times. Fine. Now, the fourth step is to consider any not statement you might want to add, if it is there, if you want to exclude something specific. Fine. So this is the first part over, as I have discussed that how to search. So literature search is very important. It will helpful at each and every step. And if we plan our literature search properly, and if we frame a proper search strategy, if we efficiently able to identify different concepts and apply Boolean logics while searching, it will reduce our workload 100 times. Right? Now I am going to focus on the second part, that is how to write literature search. While writing literature search, there are basically 4 steps. What 4 steps are there? The first step is introduction. So you used to write introduction in the beginning of your thesis. But while writing your literature review, there must be an introductory paragraph in the initial, in which you have to tell what specific concepts, in what specific concepts you have fragmented your title, and in what, under which banner you are going to discuss your literature review. For example, if you have fragmented your title in 4 concepts, then about all the 4 concepts, you have to give 1 paragraph at least while writing your introduction. For example, for the previous example, you have to write at least 1 paragraph for vitamin C, at least 1 paragraph for influenza, at least 1 paragraph for the treatment guideline related to influenza with the help of vitamin C, and how it will be helpful. So this introduction should be there, that what specific concepts, under what specific concepts you have planned your search and how you have searched, right? The second is summary of published work. Write purpose of the study highlighting the methodology as the major findings. That is the name of the author along with date of publication when the text referred was actually published, right? So summary of the published work is very important and its methodology is very important. The purpose of the study and methodology of major finding, methodology as well as the major findings, and the name of the author and date of publication and place too. These are some of the, that's what I have told you, that table is very important. If you want to record your search results properly, you should record all the important points, right? Conclusion, a brief summary of the findings, and endnotes. Finally, list of all the references are included in a separate page according to the style of formatting suggested by the supervisor. So this is not the area to fix upon. There is no watertight compartment guideline, and there is no specific guideline laid down that how referencing style should be mentioned. If this is your area and your supervisor's area, you have to find the way of formatting or style of formatting that you want to frame your review literature, in which formatting style. But endnote is important, because endnote gives the final conclusion that how many reviews have you done and what conclusion you are coming out with, right, by reviewing these articles. So a big thanks to all the delegates as well as organizers for giving me this beautiful opportunity to interact with you all. And let me tell you once again that review literature, we used to think that, or our students used to think sometimes that if our thesis is looking very thin, let's increase the review literature. They feel that review literature is a wooden block. Just by inserting that review literature, we can increase the width of the thesis. This is not the purpose of review literature. The purpose of review literature is something else, and which is much more important than this. So reviewing literature religiously and properly is very important, and please do it properly. Please do it properly with complete plan. Right? Okay, Akansha. If delegates have question, I'm available to answer.
Yes, actually, just
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
It was a nice presentation, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I want to ask, like review of, after writing, when we are writing review of literature, there is a main topic, then subtopic, like that we have to divide the things, and later on we have to summarize something like that, ma'am. Can you tell like in this regard?
Need not to
Hello?
do this exactly. It's not necessary, ma'am. It's not necessary you have to fragment topic and subtopic. If you feel that your topic is very vast, it is not possible to cover all the important segments of that specific component in one banner, then you can fragment it in subtopics, but it's not compulsory.
thank you, ma'am. One of the queries we have is from Dr. Tanushree Mandal, that what is the difference between title of the study and problem statement of the study?
Title of the study, as I have told earlier, discussed the example. Distance learning is the broad area. Problem is lack of registration in distance learning classes. What title is, when we frame the title, we frame the title that in which direction we want to find out, you have to assess, you have to evaluate different factors which deter the registration of students in distance learning classes. But problem is lack of registration in distance learning classes. So problem statement is written like this. What is the exact problem? Why immunization status of children under 5 children is poor? This is the problem statement. To find out the factors affecting the immunization status of children, this is the title. Getting? Am I clear?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes.
In your as per your previous presentation,
Yes.
the second last slide of your previous presentation is shown in inverted triangle. So, in this particular slide, according to this particular slide, what will be the title of the topic?
Title of the topic is your research question specifically, sir. What research question is there, that on that specific research question you have to frame your title. To find out the last research question, what we have framed, website technology. Is the website technology is the reason to deter the students in enrolling in the distance learning classes? So if you want to find the title, you have to mention to find out the factors responsible for deterring the students get registered in distance learning classes. Getting my point, sir?
Yes.
Like this, you have to frame the title. On the basis of research question, you have to frame your title. Am I clear?
And one more thing, after the preposition, each and every word, first letter of each and every word should be in uppercase.
In capitals, yes. Important words, not the first letter of is, the, that, no. Of important words. All important words of your title.
That means apart from the prepositions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Madam, I have a query.
Regarding
the couple of
theoretical
queries from
framework,
Dr. Savita Agarwal.
little bit elaborately you will explain, ma'am, regarding theoretical framework.
Okay, fine. Let me explain. Regarding theoretical framework, for example, if someone is going to do study on nutritional analysis, for example, and for nutritional analysis, 24-hour recall method is one of the established method. 24-hour recall method is one of the established method to conduct nutritional assessment. So if any researcher is going to conduct study on nutritional assessment, then he or she must go through the theoretical framework of 24-hour recall method. Getting my point? If someone is going to conduct study on suicidal ideations, then the established theory of Emile Durkheim on personality variations affecting suicidal attempts must be given. This is the meaning of theoretical framework.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is it clear?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, in literature review, is it necessary to write it in a chronological order? In the sense, if I get an article of 2015, should I mention it first and then I should mention the article of 2019 in the last, or I can write it in any way I want?
See, that's what I have mentioned, that there is no guideline fixed for writing your review literature. Any style of writing your review literature you can decide with the consultation of your supervisor. Getting on the basis of title, concepts, or on the basis of years that you have mentioned. But now the most appreciated technique, most appreciated pattern of writing is on the basis of concepts. What concepts you have identified, major concepts, major phrases, major keywords in your title, and concept wise we used to give. Now in concepts you can write it in any way, just by mentioning it 2015's article in the beginning and 2019's or 20 article in the last. Getting? It depends on you only. It's not hard and fast. But style of review, writing review literature, that you have to discuss with your supervisor. It's completely your prerogative.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, one of the queries we have is from Dr. Savita Agarwal.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am has asked to please give an idea on how to use WHO database and Indian Medlar databases for literature search.
They have their softwares, they have their website addresses. WHO database, on WHO website you will get complete database set. You just have to enter your title.
Hello, ma'am.
I think we have a couple of questions from Dr. Simi Oberoi, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, ma'am, I have unmuted myself. Ma'am, I may be repeating my some portions, like we are doing one research on malnutrition in urban slums in under 5 children over here in North India. Okay, I may not get all the studies related to the topic. So time you have said that I can start from 15 to 20 or from 20 to 15, that is okay. But there are different concepts like under 5 children, malnutrition in them, and then there are factors associated with it. Ma'am, can you please guide how do I proceed with it? Like what should I write in the tables we have done, but review of literature we are not very comfortable. So with the example you can please tell.
Hey, what you exactly want? Where is the confusion? I'm not getting your question clearly.
Yeah, ma'am. We are doing that. What we have done is we have taken under 5 children there in the urban slums. Okay, and we did the anthropometric assessments and we did the
socio-demographic profile as well as the this diet charts. 24-hour recall method. Now, once we have done that, we found some that whether they were exclusively breastfed or complementary feeding, what they have started. So we have found the significance. All those things, the tables and statistical analysis is done. But how do I write the review of literature? That's what I'm asking.
Then what reviews you have collected? If you have not collected reviews, ma'am, if you have not, for example, if you have not collected reviews, just go through the reviews first. In North India, first region-wise, move region-wise.
Okay.
Whether any study has been conducted on under 5 children and their malnutrition status in India?
Yes, ma'am, there are many.
There are, just write it down, just record it down. Then move for Central India, then move for Northern India. This is region-wise movement, then time period-wise movement. Try to search in last 5 years first. How many studies has been done in India on malnutrition status of under 5 children in Northern India? And how many studies has been done on under 5 children malnutrition status in last 5 years in national level?
Okay, ma'am.
Just do it. Just collect these information. I am very much sure you will get huge number of articles.
Yes, ma'am, we got huge number of articles. Ma'am, I will be writing, like I started, you said that first I will be writing ROL and will be writing down that one paragraph, in the introduction, one paragraph regarding each concept, like malnutrition then under 5 children or factors affecting that. Then I will be starting with this geography wise.
In your title, there are basically 2 major concepts. Under 5 children and malnutrition status.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
That's it. First, malnutrition status. Find out the comments made by other researchers on malnutritional status.
Yes, ma'am.
And laid it down. And second, on under 5 children. So in relation to these two, in the summary, you have to mention the methodology specifically and the major findings. What methodology they have used, what findings they are coming out with. That you have to, in summary, you have to mention this only. This author in this year coming out with these results and they have applied this methodology. That you have to mention in one paragraph, madam.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, urban slums, should I say, give some specific that if the urban slum is having some factors, because we did it in urban slums.
Urban slum, then this is your third concept, ma'am. Then this is your third concept. Urban slum, then malnutrition under 5 children, malnourished and urban slum. So you have to identify those studies only which has been done in urban slum areas on under 5 and their malnutrition status. Now, if you have identified some of the specific variables, you can also screen by variables also. How many studies are there which has conducted on those specific variables that you have identified in your study? Getting my point?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
You have to mention one paragraph only with the major findings, author's name, year, where it has been conducted, what is the major methodology they have adopted, and what are the major findings. That's all. Like this, you have to identify 10-15 articles and you have to write one summary for each article and you have to move ahead. In introduction, you have to mention about the status of these many. This is the nutritional status of under 5 children. And in urban slum, the nutritional status of under 5 children is this. That you have to mention briefly in introduction of review literature. Introduction of review literature.
Okay, ma'am. Introduction of review literature. I have talked about malnutrition, then under 5 urban slums and everything, the factors or the variables I have done. Now, ma'am, when I've got the articles, I am writing each point side by side. Then some of the findings for each study, I will be doing whatever factor I found. और अगेन आई विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट माल न्यूट्रिशन में इतनी स्टडीज आई थी, उसमें इतनी स्टडीज आई थी और उसमें इतनी स्टडीज आई थी. Not like this?
End note. In end note, you have to mention this.
Okay.
That this many studies we have found. These many studies are concentrated on urban areas. These many studies are concentrated on under 5 only. So we have gone through these many studies who have all the 3 concepts, that is under 5, malnourished, and in urban slum.
And
This
ma'am,
you have to mention in the end note.
Thank you, ma'am. One more question. Can we
Please.
find a sample somewhere on the net for a beautifully written ROL? The way you are saying.
What, ma'am? I'm not clear.
Ma'am, you are very helpful, but I am saying is that is it possible for me to have a sample ROL written in a nice manner from on anywhere in net on net? Like, are these available? Or you can say some like your department is having, or I can just go through that on this topic. They have written the ROL like this. I got your point, all the points I have understood. But
If you will search these articles now, ma'am, if you, because as I feel that maybe you are not that much oriented regarding review literature. If you will review, I think you will get ROL in these literatures only. If you will go through 10-5 articles, you automatically get the ROL related to your sample size.
Ma'am, I will get ROL is not there in articles. It will be there in some thesis. So we can download some thesis or look for some thesis. Are they available? Like, I don't remember that my university upload. My university does not upload.
Ma'am, in articles also you will get 1 or 2 lines related to this sometimes. But in thesis methodology section, they have written in detail also. So if you will get some thesis, that will be more helpful for you, I think. If you will get, and I think you will get articles, because number of thesis has been done in this specific area.
Yeah, ma'am. From where do I get the thesis? Because my university does not upload thesis. Well, at least to my knowledge.
Our BHU used to upload thesis.
Okay, ma'am. Then thank you. So nice of you. And you have made my day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. I have got a few questions related to overall ma'am's topic. What will be the variables in such study?
Variables in such study? There can be number of variables, sir. What researcher has identified, for example, madam has identified the malnutrition status of under 5 children. So this is the variable.
And what will be the knowledge gap in this study?
Sir, knowledge gap exactly, in every study there is not knowledge gap exactly. When we are, for example, if we modify this study in a way that what are the feeding practices of mothers taking care of their 5-year-old child or under 5 children, that there can be the scope of knowledge gap. Getting my point, sir?
Okay.
If we are talking about breastfeeding practices, then there can come the knowledge gap. Feeding practices, then there can come knowledge gap. Hygiene practices, then there can come knowledge gap. Getting my point, sir?
Yes, ma'am. According to the topic, according to ma'am's topic, I didn't find any knowledge gap. That's why I am asking.
It depends on the topic, sir. It depends on your variable, that what exactly. For example, I have explained one example, gap analysis. If you want to analyze the gap of the services that has been provided to the pregnant women of Northern India, or if you want to analyze the gap or knowledge gap of mothers feeding their babies, then it depends on your topic, whether there is any knowledge gap or not. Getting my point, sir?
And my last question is regarding the review of literature. These findings of previous studies, should we include in review of literature or in the discussion part?
First, in review of literature. Review of literature will be the vast group that you have gone through all the literatures. It should come in your review of literature. But all the literatures will not come while writing your discussion, sir. Getting my point? For example, in review literature, if you have mentioned 50 reviews,
Right.
While writing your discussion for that specific variable, you will quote one or two articles in which that specific variable has been taken care of. Getting my point, sir?
And if I want to repeat this also in discussion part, so I will have to mention the findings there also in discussion
Of
part.
course, of course, of course.
Okay.
You have to repeat.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, one of the last question of today's session we have is from Dr. Vinci Prita.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Sir.
Could you explain Picot concept once more?
So Picot is basically to, sir, basically the purpose of Picot is not the compulsory section, sir. First of all, make it very clear. Picot to apply, Picot is not compulsion. You can itself fragment your title with your common sense. For example, one ma'am has mentioned her title. I have just fragmented it in 4 concepts. Under 5 children, malnutrition status, urban slum. Picot method is just to help you in fragmenting the title in different concepts. That's all. So by Picot, you can identify by P, the patient, the under 5 children. Title under 5 children is the population study population, right? Outcome, if we are planning to do any knowledge analysis, that will be outcome. Time, in which specific time frame we are doing. Ma'am is doing in urban area. Sometimes in some of the other search strategies, we used to mention area. So Picot method is just to help you to identify different concepts of your title. That's all, sir. The purpose of Picot is this. If you can do the concept fragmentation by your own without applying any search strategy, that is okay. But this will be more helpful. You will not miss anything. If there is any comparator or comparison or control group, you have to identify that one as a one concept. If study population, that can be considered as one concept. If time frame is given, that will be considered as one concept. Outcome, if there is some outcome that you have mentioned, then it should be considered as a single concept. So Picot method is just to help you to fragment your title in different concepts. That's all. The purpose of Picot method is this. But it's not mandatory. It's not mandatory.
Ma'am, if we find something statistically insignificant while reviewing literature, that should be included in review of literature or discussion.
See, in review of literature, you have to mention main findings. Main findings. But if some finding is insignificant, then that is also an important one, but need not to mention it in review of literature. Even while writing your discussion, you can mention that I found this specific result insignificant. In these studies also, they found it insignificant. That's you can mention in discussion, just to give strength to your results. That's all. Fine.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
While writing your review literature, you have to mention, mostly you try to mention the important findings.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So the difference between introduction writing and review of literature, as far as I have understood so far, is introduction is basically a description of what we are intending to do in our study, and review of literature is basically what has already been done and discussed in previous articles. Ma'am, this is it, or?
Very correct, ma'am. Very correct. These are completely different segments. Introduction means you have to mention the background, problem burden, disease burden. What is the exact background? Purpose of your study, why you are planning this study, the problem statement, the purpose of your study, scope of your study, theoretical framework. These are the segments of your introduction. Getting my point, ma'am? And review of literature is all about that you have reviewed the existing literature related to your topic.
Right,
That
ma'am.
is
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Regarding research question, ma'am, regarding research question, is there any component to formulate the research question? Like it should be in this much word, it should contain this setting, it should contain variables like that. Is there any criteria, ma'am?
No specific criteria. The only thing that a reader should understand just by reading your research question, that what you want to do. That's all. No specific guideline. It should be very clear. It should be jargon free. It should be clear, concise. That's the only purpose. Right?
Ma'am, I think many of the queries have been answered today. So,
sure.
I guess, ma'am.
So we can call it a day, Akansha?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. It
Thank
is
you very much, ma'am, for an enlightening presentations and for an extremely informative session.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, delegates,
Thank you
for
so much.
patience hearing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Ma'am,
sir.
can we have your email ID, please?
Pardon?
Can we have your email ID, please?
Akansha?
Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Akansha, please provide my email ID, those who want. Okay?
And
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am.
So by default we will get all.
Yes, you will get all the slides also. You will get organizers.
What I'm asking, in the slide only you mention your email ID. So by default, all of us will get that. That's what I was.
I will take care, ma'am. In one of my next presentation that will carried out tomorrow, I will mention my email ID also. Okay, ma'am. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello. I would like to inform all the delegates that the session on how to set up aims and objectives, which was to be conducted today, has been postponed to an updated schedule will be forwarded in the respective groups. Thank you everyone for cooperating with us and have a good day.
This is a request to ma'am that please add me in the group. I have said many times, but still I am not in any group. So please add me in the group.
Please mention your WhatsApp number in the chat box.
Ma'am, chat box is not showing. I have